Good evening. This is Laura coming to you with another short video. And today we're going to talk about surviving mental attacks. How can you survive mental attacks? And so we all have a common enemy. And the scary part about it is sometimes an enemy can be seen or unseen, but you can guarantee that whenever there's an enemy, a true enemy, that enemy has studied you very closely. That enemy has studied you either through others by proxy, or the enemy has gotten close enough to you to study you. They get to know what makes you tick. They get to know you inside out. And then they take the information that's gathered and they use it against you. Well, on these videos, we know that the enemy that I'm referring to is the gang stalker. And we know that they study their targets very carefully by collecting intel, by proxy, up close and personal, by surveillance. By any means necessary, they will study the enemy. And so, in order for us to survive, overcome the enemy, we must also study the enemy. In the military, I'm ex-military, I'm a veteran, and so they teach us to study the enemy. Part of our basic training when we first come in is to break us from being civilian minded to military minded. And so you are shown the same films and pictures over and over and over again until you know them like the back of your hand. And these are pictures of sometimes the enemy. And so they teach us that we need to learn as much as we can so that when we can identify the enemy, we can identify how they're going to attack, what they look like, their history, what are some past assaults that they've used against others, and what is their mission? What are they out to accomplish? How do they think? How are they going to act? How are they going to make their next move? And so, what I am telling you today is that we need to do the same thing. We need to study the enemy, we need to study the gang stalker. And so, if you're a targeted individual, in order for you to survive, you're going to need to know the gang stalkers. What is their mission? How do they think? How will they move? And then also, you need to understand yourself. So, we're going to talk about that today. So, let's start with number one, which is what is the mission of the gang stalker? And we've talked about this several times in many of my videos. The objective of the gang stalker, their mission is to destroy you. And this will occur by mental injury, embarrassment, harassment, humiliation, to discredit you. But ultimately, the goal is to destroy you, and to get you to self destruct by your own means, to drive you to a point of self destruction. And so once you understand the mission, then you can go ahead and start to formulate a plan of how to counteract that. Objective number two, let's take a look at that. What is their objective? Their second objective. And so we have to learn, if we're going to study them, we have to learn how they think. And so let's talk about that. How do they think? Well, they think in terms of assessing the targeted individual's weakness. They're looking for the weakest link in the chain. They're looking to hit you at your weakest point. And they also think of themselves as being very smart, very covert, very undercover, very smart, in which they feel as though um, they have the ability to sabotage you because they always think in terms of staying 10 steps ahead of you. And so they believe that by staying 10 steps ahead of you, that eventually that they can set a trap and that you will fall for the trap, or you will fall at the hands of the trap. You will be ensnared, so entangled, so enmeshed that you will not be able to get out of it. Another form of thinking that they have is that they do things, they do things so subtle. And sometimes they can do and say some crazy things behind closed doors, covertly. And these things are so crazy that they know that if you tell someone, that no one will believe you. Because in public, there's a public persona in which they are, the outstanding person of the community. They're very nice, they're very helpful, they're hardworking, dedicated individuals, strictly by the book, by the law. They treat everybody with kindness. They may even attend church, but covertly behind the closed doors, they're saying and doing things to a person or doing things covertly in which if you spoke about it, they know that no one would believe you because they set themselves up to look good in the public eye. And so they believe that because no one will believe you and that you know that no one will believe you, then they go ahead and think of terms as that you would never tell anyone. They also believe that you will eventually give up and give in. And so the next objective that we need to talk about is how they move. Let's talk about that. Okay, so let's talk about objective number 3, how they move. Well, first of all, we know that they move covertly. They move under the cloak of deception, disguise. They move under the cloak of pretense and false impressions. Also, we know that they move in groups and that the group has a leader and that the leader dictates to the rest what they should be doing. They give them their instructions for the day. We know that sometimes within the group, they may not even like each other, but know that they're going to band together against the targeted individual because the targeted individual is labeled as the enemy. And so they band together in groups, they band together against the targeted individual, and they move in deception. And they have the element of surprise, which they think they do on their side. Also, they move their moves are to isolate the targeted individual, and also they make moves in order to divide and conquer. And so with that dividing and conquer comes the isolation. And so if we know that in the past how they've moved, how they think, and what their mission is, then our final objective is to know ourselves and what we are capable of, and to know that we're stronger than what we think, and to know that we can defeat, we can overcome, we can survive, that we have that power, but it all starts with us. So let's talk about that. So, moving forward, in order to survive mental attacks, objective number 4 is knowing yourself. And knowing yourself involves knowing who you are and who you are not. And knowing that, again, that you're more powerful than what you think. And knowing that you are prepared, um, and that you've studied the enemy. Knowing that you do not deserve this type of treatment, that no one deserves this. And so here are a couple of suggestions that I have in order for us to survive mental attacks. Because one thing we know, that the attacks are going to come, and they're going to come in different forms. But today we're discussing how to survive mental attacks. Now, the first one on my list of knowing yourself and how to survive mental attacks is show no emotions or reactions. That's number one. Don't react to it, regardless of how it's making you feel. If you want to cry, if you want to scream, if you want to get upset, show no emotions. Don't react whenever the attacks come. Go on with your life as if it's not bothering you. If you have to fall apart, don't fall apart in public. Never let them see you sweat. If you have to fall apart, go and fall apart privately. They don't need to see you falling apart, because you know what they say, aha, we've got them now. They're falling apart. What we're doing is working. But the enemy, if you show no reaction, it kind of puzzles and scrambles the mind of the enemy, because they don't know if what they're doing, the pressure that they're applying, they don't know if it's working or not. Number two, if you must respond, make it short and sweet. I was always taught this, that less is more. And sometimes it's hard, because I failed at this myself, making less more. But in the military, they teach us that if we're ever captured by the enemy, that we're only to say repeatedly our name, rank, and social security number. Some people say serial number. But that's all that you're ever supposed to give. That's the only information that you're to give the enemy if you're ever captured. So say less. Less is more. The next thing is to watch, be vigilant, watch for traps that they're setting. Sometimes they may send someone to you to try to connect to you. Make sure that you vet these people very carefully. Make sure that you keep your personal life and your private life to yourself. If you're uncomfortable with answering a personal question, you don't have to answer that. And sometimes these people, they will send them to you, and these people will share what may appear to be as personal information. They're telling you all of their business. But you know what? It's a lot of lies. There's a lot of lies they're telling you. And that's in order to get you to soften up, to open up, to gain your trust. And then when you share something, yours is the truth. And a lot of times you have to be careful with that, because people will share something that appears to be personal. Oh, I trust you. You're the only person that I can trust. I've never opened up like this before. And it's to get you to open up. But all the time, everything that they're sharing with you, it's a lie. But when you share, you're sharing the truth. And so that's a trap for you. So watch out for those traps. Watch out for enemies coming and pretending to be friends. And number four, as I say all the time, regardless of how crazy the actions may seem, or what they did or what they said, no matter how you feel that no one may believe you, or it sounds so ridiculous that, or this person is so well established that no one will ever believe that they're committing these types of acts, share, tell somebody. By telling someone, making people aware that you're going through this. And you know what? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So if you share with someone and you don't get any type of response or any type of help, keep sharing, keep being that squeaky wheel. Eventually you will get the oil. And so at this point, I'm going to end the video. I hope that I said something to you that was helpful, that was informative. Something that you can use in order to survive mental attacks, because the mental attacks will come. Remember the four things that you need to know in order to survive mental attacks. You need to know the enemy's mission, how they think, how they move, and know yourself. And so I thank you so much for listening. I am working on getting a forum in which we can call in and talk to each other and discuss our experiences. And so I just want to encourage you to hang in there, stay strong, and you are powerful, you are strong, and you're going to make it through. You're going to overcome, you're going to survive this. And so I want to thank you for listening. If you enjoy the content of my YouTube channel, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and make sure to share these videos. And as always, until we meet again, bye-bye, my friends.